Hey there YouTube, this is Sign19 coming with you with a premium deck profile. This time it's Blau. I've been waiting to do this deck profile for so long. I had Blaus back in the G era. It wasn't the greatest deck, but because of all the new stuff that was added during the V era, this deck has gotten a major boost and a major needed retuning. So we're going to start with Galaxy Blaukluger. So on Vanguard, constant skill, if Blaukluger is in the soul, the grade 2, all grade 3s with Blau in their card name gain plus 10k. Then he has his own individual Vanguard skill. When he attacks, you can counterblast one, superior call a Stern Blaukluger from the soul to the rearguard circle. Then his third skill is when he's rolled upon, you can superior call himself from the soul to a rearguard circle. So you have superior calling, deck recurring, and power, all in one balance card. Now for his partner grade 3, we're playing 4 copies of Stern Blaukluger. If you didn't know, we're also playing 4 copies of Galaxy. But Stern Blaukluger also has the continuous Vanguard ability. If you have the grade 2 in your soul, all grade 3s gain 10k. Second ability is his own individual ability, is Vanguard. When he attacks, after the battle he attacks, you can discard 2 cards, bind a Galaxy from your rearguard circle, and ride it as the Vanguard as stand. That unit gets drive -1. So this way in the standard build, you get at least 2 Vanguard swings during your battle phase. But in the premium deck, you can do a whole lot more. So now we're going to go to the grade 2s. The cornerstone of this deck, it says this unit, Blaukluger. So grade 2 on the Vanguard circle. Counterblast 1 and look at 7 cards from the top of your deck. Search for any Blau card from among them and add it to your hand. This card allows you to toolbox your entire deck because you're running mostly nothing but Blau units. Then his rearguard ability is, after the battle he attacks, put him into the soul. So you'll never have without that grade 2 in soul for your grade 3 units abilities, but he draws you a card. So not only that you do plus when you're on the Vanguard circle, but you don't lose any value on the rearguard circle. So now we're going to take a step back in time through Blau's history. We play 4 copies of Regionus Blau Lanzer. So Lanzer's skill says whenever your Vanguard swings, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, and stand this unit with an additional plus 2k on it. This card can get very big, very fast, to a point where your opponent cannot handle it anymore. But this entire deck is nothing but resource management, so keep that in mind. Resource management. The last grade 2 that we play is 3 copies of Bade Blau Ani. So, you may be wondering, for all you new players, what that GB1 skill is, and that purple icon. So, GB1 means that for every face-up card that you have in your G zone, we'll get to it, you do 1 generation break, meaning you break a threshold. This only needs 1. That purple icon means counter blast 1. That's what they used to look like. But let's go into its skill. On rearguard constant, if your damage is equal or more than your opponent, you get an additional plus 2k on it, so it becomes an 11k unit. But in addition to that, act once per turn, generation break 1, counterblast 1. Reveal the top card to your opponent from your deck. If that unit has Blau in its name, this unit gains plus 5k, and then that unit goes face down in your damage zone. So now you may be wondering, we're not Angel Feather, why are we putting cards in our damage zone? We'll get to that. You need a lot of damage to make this deck work. But the beneficial part of that is that at the end of the turn, you get to heal 1 damage for the counterblast and for him. So now we're going to go into the grade 1s. Another reprint, but a well-welcomed one, is Blau Panzer. So Vanguard Circle, just like his grade 2 form, when placed, you can check the top 5 cards of your deck, search for any card with Blau in its card name, and add it to your hand. Another toolboxing card. But then on his rearguard skill, when placed, discard a trigger unit and then search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 with Blau in its card name and add it to your hand. So when it comes to this card, you're giving up a lot of defense for a lot of offense. You have to choose. Do you need to defend this turn, or do you need to rush for that win? So now we're going to go into another grade 1, which is Rima Blau Kit. Rima Blauer Kit. I'm killing these names. So his skill is auto. When this unit is placed on your rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Blaukluger Premium and your damage is equal or more than your opponent, you get to countercharge one and soul charge one. So like I said, you need a lot of damage, but you need all that damage face up. So this is a good way to do it. Then he has his own generation break skill on rearguard circle. When your Vanguard hits your opponent's Vanguard, you can tuck this into the soul and draw one card. So just how the grade 2 Panzer pays Blaukluger can pay for himself, he can also pay for himself and also get you soul and counter charge. So he's basically a double soul charger and a single counter charger for just one card. Very good all around card. Now we're playing our next two grade 2s. Since this is a premium deck, we will be striding. So we play 2 copies of Neptune Blaukluger. So this is a Blau oriented stride fodder. So his skill is in hand. If you have a grade 3 card with Blaukluger Premium and you're paying the cost for a stride for a Blau unit, his grade will go up to 3 and you can discard him. For those who don't know, when you're striding, you must pay the cost of a grade 3 or units with grade 3 or some of grade 3 or higher from your hand to go into a stride. Then he also has the additional skill. When he's discarded for the fact of a stride, if you have a grade 3 card in your soul with Blaukluger Premium, you can superior call this unit to rearguard circle. So not only does he allow you to stride, but if you're playing the game into the long terms, you get a free unit off of that discard. And our last grade 1 we're playing, we're going to play 4 copies of Mordrian Rod. So you all know in the standard deck, this is one of your biggest cards you need to allow you to get Stern back to the hand. We also use it for the same reason, but we also usually get a lot of our grade 2s, like Lanzer and Annie back to the hand. So that way we can play those cards again. Pieces are very important in this deck, so you don't want to lose them just for having them on the board. And there's other reasons too that you don't want to leave units on the board. We'll go into when we get to the G zone. So for our starter, we're playing the G era version of Blau Younger. So this skill says when a card with Blau Panzer rides on top of him, you get to search your deck for the grade 2 immediately. So the V era one allows you to draw a card, which is all good and well, but this one immediately draws you a card, but it draws you a specific card throughout the ride chain that makes this card so valuable in this deck as a starter. Next, we play 4 copies of a G era Hill Trigger. This is Argo Blau Energy. So back in the day, our Hill Triggers had effects similar to this one. So if this unit is discarded from your hand for paying a cost for a G Guardian, which we'll go into, if there's another Hill Trigger in your drop zone, you can bind this card and that Hill Trigger and either counter charge or soul charge. Mind you, you need your counter blast, so all counter charge units are very welcome. And this is also a blast, so he's also searchable. Next, we're going to 4 copies of an old crit CR Blau Glaze. So, another card that countercharges. Act on rearguard. Counterblast 1, Generation Break 1. Put this card into your soul. And then if you do so, if you have a Vanguard with Blaukluger card name, turn 2 cards face up in your damage zone. So you counterblaster 1, and then you get to turn 2 up. So you got to be very specific on when you use this card. Next, we're playing 4 copies of I believe this is the 2020 Effect Crit. Now, I only have 2 of them. I will be getting 2 more very soon. So, this is a card that you do want to run since you are playing a stride deck. Basically, this card does the exact same thing as Neptune. It's when you're paying the cost for a stride, its grade goes up to 3. And it's a crit that gives 10k power. Our final trigger unit is that I don't have it yet, but this is just a proxy for Draw PG. When we get them, I will definitely let you all know and update the deck if anything needs to be updated. But this card will be turning into 4 Draw PG. Now, I understand that Draw PG does not have does not share the Blau name, but a draw PG is a draw PG. So just remember, this card will turn into a draw PG. And pieces are needed in this deck. So that's the main deck. So now we're going to go into what's known as the Stride deck. We play 4 copies of Galaxy's Evolved Form, Blazer Blaukluger. So you may be wondering, what's that LB4 mean? That means Limit Break 4, meaning this skill cannot go off unless you have 4 or more damage. That's why we play so many cards that allow you to increase your damage and also flip up damage. So, Blazer says, at the end of his battle, you can counterblast 1, discard 2 cards from your hand, put this card back face up in your G zone, and then ride a grade 3 or Blau and its card name from your hand onto your Vanguard circle as stand. Same skill as Stern. Same skill as Stern. But you have to pay a counterblast for it. But what this means is you can stride into this. Now, all grade 4 stride units have triple drive instead of twin drive. So you get a triple drive off of this. Then you re-ride into Stern, get a twin drive, and then re-ride back into Galaxy and get a single drive. So you go 3, 2, 1, all in one turn. And that's a lot of card value. And all you're losing is about, I would say, 4 cards out of your hand. But you can immediately get those back off of certain effects, allow you to draw and things like that. So really in the long term, you're not really losing much. So that's 6 drive trigger checks in one turn. And remember, Lancer, every time your Vanguard attacks, it restands with additional +2. Not to mention any trigger effects that you could put on it. That's so much pressure, your opponent will not be able to guard every single attack. And most of the attacks are just coming from the Vanguard. You can have other Vanguards that are just sitting there waiting their turn to attack. Remember that. The next next stride unit we play is, this will be Stern's Evolved Form, Sunny Blaukluger. So Sunny Blaukluger basically does the exact same thing as Blazer, but a little bit different, and it also gives you a little bit more benefit. But unlike Blazer, who's a Generation Break 4, Sunny is what's known as an ultimate break, because at the end of the day, you need 5 damage to activate this skill. So when Sunny attacks, it's counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 with Blauness card name. Unlike Blazer, Sunny searches you the card that you're going to ride. And then at the end of his battle, discard 3 cards and ride a grade 3 with Blau in his name from there and basically do the exact same thing. But the only difference is that this is a little bit harder to get, because if you hit a hill trigger in the middle of his drive checks, his Limit Break 5 fizzles out. So be wary of when you go into Sunny. Now, Blazer's a little bit easier to go into, because at the end of the day, you can pump your damage up to 5. And then, even if you do hit a hill, you're still at 4, so his Limit Break is still active. So, be wary when you go into Sunny. Blazer is mostly going to be your main striding unit, because it's easier to work with. And that's really all the real attacking stride units that you need to use. You could add some Victor stuff and other things like that to pump up your G zone, but you're really only going to be going into Blazar and maybe Sunny throughout your games. Now, heal triggers is another thing, because to activate what's known as a G Guardian, you need to discard 1 heal from your hand to perform a G Guard. And that can only happen when both players are at grade 3. So the G Guardians that we use, we play 2 Dolgan Titan. Now you can see that the color at the bottom is different. Strides are red, and G Guardians are green. So Dolgan Titan says, constant. If the number of your rear guards are less than the number of your opponent's rear guards, he gains 10k to his shield, meaning he's going to become a 25k Guardian on top of your 12k. So that's 25, that's 37 guard he's able to give you. Then he has an axe skill during your main phase, and you're in face up in the G zone. You can Soul Blast 1 and turn him face down. Now the reason why that's important is that you're only allowed to use 4 G Guardians during a game, which means if you have 4 face up of these green grade 4s, you are no longer allowed to G Guard. But because he puts himself face down, you basically have an infinite amount of G Guardians as long as you're able to, as long as you don't run through all of your heal triggers. Now, the last grade 4 G Guardian that we play is Metro Razor Union. So Union is a very niche type of card. So his skill says, if you have no face-up damage, counter charge 2, he gains 5k to his shield. Then, if you have no cards in your soul charge 2, he gains 5k. So it can be either or, but we're mostly going to use that counter charge one because, like I said, you're going through your counter blast pretty fast. So he'll be a basic 20k Guardian and things like that. There could be opportunities where he becomes another 25k Guardian, but it really won't happen. There is another G Guardian that you can play. I don't remember the name, and I unfortunately don't have the card yet. But it's another good one. Normal Gravity doesn't have that many good G Guardians. These two and the one I mentioned a few seconds ago will be the best ones to use for this deck. So what we're gonna do now is that we're going to zoom out. So you guys see my table, a little messy. So we're gonna do some test hands now. So we're gonna shuffle up first, and then we're gonna see what we get and how this deck works side by side with the V-Era stuff, and see how good our plays can be. So we're gonna have our G zone sitting up there. So we're gonna shuffle up. Okay, we're all shuffled up. So then we have our deck. Then we're gonna go through our hands. So we got Stern, Galaxy, the Draw PG, a grade 1, and another Galaxy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw away the one Galaxy and the Draw PG back to the bottom of the deck. Redraw for 2. Oh, that's a perfect ride, and that's good too. Okay, so that's our hand. That's currently what our hand looks like. So we're gonna reshuffle up. Okay. And then we're gonna go first and take our first turn. So now we draw. That's our draw. We are going to ride into Panzer. So the grade 0 says when Panzer rides him, you immediately search for the grade 2 in your deck and add it to your hand. So boom, you immediately got your grade 2 ride in your hand, and then shuffle up. Now Panzer says when he is ridden on the Vanguard circle, which he is, we get to look at the top 5 cards of our deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and add 1 to our hand. 1 unit with Blau on this card into our hand. So we don't got really much good choices, so we're just going to go for the Blaukluger, a second Blaukluger added to the hand. The other 4 go back to the deck and shuffle up. So, just like that, off our first grade 1 ride turn, we plus 2 to the hand. Immediately plus 2, but not just any 2 specific cards that we needed in our hand to make our hand that much stronger. So now our opponent will go, attack for 1, that's 1 damage. So now it's our turn, we draw. We immediately ride into our grade 2 turn. So we're going to counterblast 1, check top 7. 1, that's pretty good. 2, that's good. 3, that's PG. 4, 5, 6, 7. So immediately, because we know we have the Stern and the Galaxy already in our hand, we're going to go for this grade 2 and add it to the hand. The other ones go back to the deck. Shuffle up. Okay. Now we're only on grade 2. We already plus 3 times already. So now let's plus a little bit more. We're gonna call the other Luger. We'll attack with the Vanguard first. Drive trigger check, no trigger. We'll attack with the other Luger. Doesn't matter if he guards or not. Tuck it to the soul and draw again. We just plussed again. So now our opponent's turn. We're gonna take the damage, critical trigger, 1 check, 2 check. Okay, now it's our turn again. So now we stand, we draw. We're going to ride into Stern. Now, this deck specifically wants to use Excel 2. So we draw again, another plus. So from there, we call out our Galaxy to rearguard circle. We call our Mordrian Rod And what else do we call? I think that's it. I think that's good enough. So now we're going to attack with Galaxy. That's 22. We attack with Stern. Twin Drive. First check. Second check. Heal trigger. We can heal right now. That's not a big problem. Give all effects to Morgian Rod. Skill. Discard 2 cards. We bind Galaxy. We re-ride Galaxy as the Vanguard. Drive -1. We get another Excel. We draw again another plus. Then we attack with the Vanguard. Skill. Counterblast 1. Superior, call the Stern out. So, draw check. Draw trigger. All effects to the Stern. Draw 1. And now our Stern will finish off the attack. Then at the end of the turn, Morgian Rod retires. We return the Stern back to our hand. So yes, you just saw your basic Blau standard play. Because we went first. But here's the kicker. We're left on Galaxy, and that's where you want to be. So let's say our opponent attacks. We take another damage. We're at 3 damage now. Let's say we don't want to do anymore. Take any more damage. So we're gonna pay the cost. Ditch a heal. Generation Guard. Both players are at grade 3. So now I'm gonna go into Dogen Titan as my guard. Seeing how I have absolutely no rear guards, Dogen Titan gains 10k. Guards. Scale goes back face up in the G zone. Then let's say he has one more attack. We're gonna just perfect guard that attack out of the way. Let's see. We can drop that. Right? So now it's our turn again. I am going to stand, draw. Let's say I want to ride again. So we're going to ride another Galaxy. We want to be on Galaxy for your stride turn. It's very important that you stay on Galaxy for your stride turn. Draw. Now, you pitch a grade 3, Generation Stride. We're going to stride into Blazar, right? Now, here's where you start setting up your board. So now, I'm going to call Blau Kit skill sets, and we have even or more damage than our opponent. We get to counter charge 1 and soul charge 1, right? Then I'm going to call Blau Anyo skill. Counterblast 1. Choose, reveal the top card. It's not a Blau, so he doesn't get any power. But that card goes face down in my damage zone. So now I'm at 4 damage. That's where I want to be, at 4 damage. Then I'm going to call Lanzer. I'm going to call... And then I'm going to call a Stern. Right? So, I'm going to attack my opponent's Vanguard with Blazer. I do a triple drive. Critical trigger. I'm going to give all the effects to Lanzer. Second check. Critical trigger. All the effects to Lanzer again. Third check. Good. So now Blazer skill goes off. I counterblast 1. I discard 2 cards from my hand. 1, 2. Lancer goes back face up in the G zone. I choose a grade 3 from my hand with Blau in its card name and ride it as the Vanguard. I gain another Excel. So let's move these over so you can see all of them. So now remember that Lancer got plus 10k because those are 2 old triggers, and both of those were critical. So he has plus 10 on him. Then, because I rerolled, Galaxy pops out onto the Excel circle. I still have a twin drive. So now I'm going to attack with Galaxy for 27. Then I'm going to attack with Stern for 27, 34. So let's say my opponent lets this hit. I do a twin drive. First check, critical trigger. So critical to the Vanguard. We're going to give another plus 5k here. And then second check, right? Then activating skill of Stern, discarding another 2 cards from my hand, bind Galaxy, rewrite Galaxy as the Vanguard, then get another Excel, draw again, skill here, this into Soul, draw again. Now, Saturn will attack. Now, Saturn can attack. Now, mind you, I haven't been attacking with Saturn, but I could have been attacking with Saturn all this time if I had more counterblasts to work with. So for every time that my Vanguard swung, my Vanguard has swung 3 times so far. Saturn would have stood every single time with an additional +2 on top of what he has. But because I want to get the Vanguard skill off, and we only have 1 counterblast to work with, I have to pick and choose. So now my Vanguard swings, skill of my Vanguard, counterblast 1, Superior Call Stern back out. I get 1 drive check, heal trigger. At this point, it doesn't matter if I heal or not. So now I give +5k, another +5k to, let's say we give this 5k to Aino, because he didn't get his before, right? Now I attack for Stern for 27, Aino for 14, and then Stern for 27 again. Now at the end of my turn, remember I healed, but at the end of my turn, Aino's skill goes off. I heal another damage for the one I put in there before. So now I just went from 4 damage to 2 damage and probably put my opponent all the way up to 5 damage or even won the game at that point. I attacked so many times, and I could have attacked so many more times, depending on how much counterblast I was working with. If I had the other units that I showed you earlier that were able to countercharge, I would attack at least 8 to 12, maybe even 14 times in a single turn, and 3 of those attacks being the Vanguard. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times minimum, just off of the play that you just saw. Not mentioning that if I had any more units in my other columns. This deck is so much fun. It's piloted right. No pun intended, because we are talking about mechs. But this deck is so much fun to play with, and can put your opponent, if they're not ready for it, in a really, really bad situation. And look, just off of that 1 stride turn, just off of that 1 game, per se, we made 5 Excel circles. Just imagine what you can do once you go into your next stride turn. That's maybe another ride. That's 6, 7, 8 Excel circles, and it will keep building up. So this deck is very, very fun, very easy to play, and very cheap to build. I think the most expensive card in the deck currently right now is Galaxy, going at $4. So, if you guys like what you saw, please leave a like down below. Please comment if you have any suggestions for the deck. And if you guys play this deck, or you guys have been Blau fans from back in G, please let me know. I really would like to talk to you guys and see what you guys think about how the deck is built now and my personal twist on the deck. But as always, this is Sign 19 saying, see you later. And all pilots, be safe out there.